Hi everyone. So for this discussion, we were asked to basically talk about a specific historical significance in American history, and I feel like in my own American history class, not much was talked about the Salem witch trials. I feel like it was like lightly talked about generally, but I feel like there's so many primary sources to use for this that could like really dig deeper into it and really make people analyze and think about these events. And one of the things in the database that I looked at was John Hale's book, A Modest Inquiry into Witchcraft. And his book is, I think, is very interesting only because he was a reverend during that time, and he was able to basically, when the trials happened, he was like heavily into the trials. He was someone who was for the trials and for getting rid of like the evil that was happening in the Massachusetts Bay area. So with that, he basically was for it, and then eventually when his wife was accused, he and also four church members that he knew were accused. So that made him kind of think like, okay, this isn't right. This isn't good. And I think he was kind of afraid from what, like, with the text, because like I've actually read this book myself. I don't know if this is like a biased thing that I have read this, but from it, I think with the things that were happening around him during the time, with the constant threat of the Native Americans trying to invade, the government recently changed the Massachusetts Bay Charter, I think, was revoked, and that like kind of changed like that small Puritan society that they've created from the early 1600s, and it completely changed. New religions like the Quakers, they were afraid, like a lot of people were leaving to go to the Quaker settlements, and that was like threatening their Puritan beliefs. So maybe with all that, him needing to place blame, and he thinks maybe he's being punished by evil. I don't know. I don't know. But we can only assume from his personal beliefs and opinions from this book that he is very remorseful of what occurred, and I feel like he took a step back and he was like, this can't happen, this isn't right, what we're doing is wrong. And the fact that he was able to say that in a book and wanting to preserve that history, I think is very important too, because it just shows how somebody can actually write something, preserve it, and wanting to not make that happen again. So I think that this primary source is very great to use to see, to get into the mind of the person, to look through their eyes and what they have seen during this time period. So I feel like using this primary source and using primary sources in general is so important when doing history of any kind. So I think that the Salem witch trials had so much, they have so many court cases, and you get to hear the voices of these women, you get to hear their thoughts, you get to know what the testimonies of the people, the eyewitnesses, you get to know what their feelings were and what they thought was was wrong and things like that. So I think that this is a very interesting topic, and definitely primary sources are important when doing any historical research.